Testing 1, 2. Okay. You're live. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody today? Graduation day. Can you believe it? It goes very fast. I know.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, it goes very fast.
I was thinking I don't got it.
You
When
got it.
when I come in the first day, when I see all the letters, and I say, oh my God. When I see all the book. And
I know
say, "Oh my
at
God."
first it's a little overwhelming.
Yeah, when I see this one, I say, oh my goodness. But the second day, we did the first week. The first day, I'm
Nervous.
very nervous.
Yeah.
I understand almost nothing. And I go to home and I ask them my husband and they help me with all the things because I feel very bad. I don't understand nothing.
Right.
So he started making the same questions you do. He said, you got it wrong, so what's wrong with you? And I said, "Maybe I'm nervous."
Yeah, probably nervous.
But right now I feel ready.
Very good. Amy, did you download the ebook?
Yes, I might.
Okay. Good, very good, because that will help you on the written test. as well. Good, very good.
Mom's gonna drive, so I can set more.
Oh, there you go. There you go. All right, does anybody have any last questions for me? They're right around the corner.
It's fresh in my head.
And let me know how you do.
My mom was a nurse, and she was 18, my aunt was cardiac through her whole career.
Okay,
And my daughter's godfather's mom was a teacher for nursing.
oh, very good, very good.
So I got 3 coaches I could go to.
Good morning. So any final questions? Anything I can help you guys with?
Question, I suppose it's a 9 chapters or 9 lessons, but I only have 7 reviews.
So you're going to get 8. We had those review sheets are not for the chapters, they're for the classes. We have 8 classes. So we've completed 7 classes so far. So you should have 7 review sheets. And then you'll get one from today, which is your class 8 review sheet.
Oh.
And then you have the principles that I handed out on Monday as well. Okay.
I don't have the class 2 sheet because I was out
Okay.
that day.
I can get that for you.
I have both of them except that one. The only one I missed.
Does anybody else need any review sheets?
Are you ready?
I do. I think I need 4 and 5.
4 and 5? There you go. Good morning.
I don't see you again. Anybody? I don't see anybody again. After today.
Okay, those of you that just came in, do you need any review sheets? Are you missing any review sheets? Okay, Let me go ahead and get your scores for chapter 10 in your white book. Bryn,
One wrong.
Nadia,
None wrong.
Lauren,
I got 0 on that.
0 wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. Irasima,
None.
thank you. Joanna, thank you. Rosina, Mariah, Damwanti, Caitlin,
I'm a 0.
thank you. Joni,
0.
thank you. Gabrielle, do you have chapter 9 for me as well? Okay, thank you. Erica, Amy, thank you. All right. So no questions, guys? Good morning. How are you? All
I
right.
would like just advice on like a tactful way to, so say you are applying for a CNA position and the pay is not posted and it's not like talked about in my first 40 minutes of the interview. How is a tactful way to ask about that?
Okay, so we're actually going to go over this in just a few minutes. I'm going to give you some, I know, I always say that, right? I'm going to give you some helpful interview tips. We're going to talk about some questions that will come up during the interview and how best to answer them. But I'm also going to talk to you about questions you should be asking as well. And we'll cover that in just a few minutes. That's a great question. And it's something that unless you're planning on working for free, and if you are, I've got a job for you, you know. If you're not planning on working for free, you need to know what they're going to offer you because you're going to be in demand. You're going to have a lot of opportunities. And one of the things that you're going to use in your decision criteria is pay, of course. You know, if I have to be away from my home, I want to make it worth my while. So you do need to know pay to be able to compare different opportunities. How you ask, though, in a very tactful way is important. So we're going to go over that in just a few minutes. I've got a couple things I need to get covered first, some kind of legal things that we have to go through. And then we'll get into looking for a job in healthcare because it's a little different than other industries, by the way. So yeah, we'll get to that in just a few minutes. So
Miss Patricia, before
Yes.
we start, did you happen to find some cards on the table?
no, I did not. Yeah, I actually left the room because I had a what do you call it, Zoom call. So I don't recall seeing anything, but Jake came over and cleaned up. I'll ask him after class too. All right. So Rosina, do you have chapter 10 for me?
I didn't see.
Thank you. Okay. All right. So let's go to in your white book, page 122. So if you have not registered for the state exam yet, you should. Remember, you will never be more ready than you are right now. So register for the test. Even if you don't think you're quite there yet, register. Don't put it off because life happens. And when you put it off, something will come, something always comes up. So get your certification. And then once you get it, you're going to have to renew it in order to keep it. And a piece of advice I got very early in my career is always protect your ability to make more money. Now, this seems like a very simple statement, right? But because you have to renew your CNA certification, like I said, things always come up. The refrigerator dies, the phone bill is expensive, the cost of food skyrocketed, right? There's always something that is competing to take your money. So one of the things that I recommend is in your very first paycheck, wherever you go to work, your very first paycheck, pull out $55, which is the renewal fee, put it in a folder and keep it safe. So you always have the money, because right now you're used to doing without, right? You always have the money to be able to renew. Even if you don't think that you want to be a CNA, protect your ability to make more money, because you never know what's going to happen in the future. And you may need that CNA certification, a way to make more money. And if you let it expire, you're going to have to start all over again. Guys, the test is stressful enough. You don't want to do it more than once, right?
How long is a certification?
We're going to
good for?
talk about that. Yeah, I'm going to cover that in detail. But protect your ability to make more money. Yes, see me after class, and I'll do what I can to help you, okay? All right. So, you know, I have test registration instructions online, right? Step by step. If you go to foryourcna.com, what's on the front? This, foryourcna.com, under testing, the menu at the top, testing, test registration instructions. I actually do one on the screen so you can follow along and watch it. And then below it is a step-by-step slide presentation. And it walks you through absolutely every single step. I mean, every step. From going and checking your email, that's even on there. I mean, every step is covered. So that's your best option, is to have that open and follow along. Okay. All right. So in order to know how to renew, when to renew, what the process is, what your requirements are, I have a video for that I'm going to show you right now. You don't have to take notes. All the notes are on page 122. So let's watch this video. It's also on my main website under after certification. So when it comes to renewal time and you can't remember any of this stuff, you can always go back and rewatch that video. Okay. So let's go ahead and get that done. And then we're going to talk about employment. How to renew your Florida CNA certification. A guide for Florida CNAs. Brought to you by CNA.com. After you pass your state exam, you will receive your certification card in the mail. This card gives you valuable information. Take a moment to look it over. Check your name and address to make sure they are correct. Make a note of your CNA certification number. You will need this for employment and in-service credit. Your certification also comes with a convenient wallet card. Sign this and keep it in your wallet for handy proof of certification. But one of the most important things you need to pay attention to is the expiration date. It will be located near the top of the blue card in the grid. In Florida, CNAs are divided into two groups, odd year group and even year group. Everyone in the even year group will renew their certifications in even years, such as 2018, 2020, 2022, and so on. Everyone in the odd year group will renew their certifications in odd years, such as 2017, 2019, etc.
When you become certified, you will join one of these groups. But which group you end up in has nothing to do with when you test. You will be assigned a group when you receive your first certification, and you will remain in that group even if you allow your certification to lapse and you retest later in life. So how do you know when you will have to renew? It's easy. Check your expiration date. Every certification will expire on May 31st, either in an odd year or an even year. You need to know which group you are in. This is Jenny. Jenny became a CNA in 2017. She was placed into the even year group, so her expiration date will be in even years. She is joining a group already in progress, so her expiration date will be the same as theirs, regardless of when she became certified. Everyone in this group has the same expiration date. So, do I have to take the test again? No. As long as you meet all the requirements and renew on time, you will never have to take the state boards again. In order to renew your CNA certification in Florida, you must meet 2 requirements and pay a small fee. You must work at least once as a CNA for pay in this renewal cycle. You must complete the required number of in-service hours and pay the renewal fee. We will look at each of these in more detail in the following section. In Florida, every CNA is required to perform nursing-related services for monetary compensation within the renewal period in order to renew their certification. That means they have to get paid to do CNA skills. This rule is in effect to ensure that CNAs are using their skills so that they do not forget what they have learned. But there are no specific amount of hours that are required. But be careful. If you are not currently working in healthcare as a CNA, you may not be able to renew. But there is a way. Follow me to see Jim's story. This is Jim. Jim became certified as a CNA in 2016. Jim planned on going to work in the local hospital after he became certified. But Jim's uncle needed help at his bank and hired Jim. Jim likes his new job at the bank and he's doing very well there. He doesn't want to leave the bank, but he wants to keep his CNA certification active. He worked hard to get it. One of Jim's bank customers, a supervisor at the local health agency, mentioned that they were looking for weekend CNAs to care for some of their new clients. Jim immediately filled out an application. He was hired and now works only one Saturday a month. Jim kept his regular job at the bank, but still met the requirements for renewal. Jim will keep one of his pay stubs for proof of the work requirement. Now let's look at the second requirement, in-services. In Florida, continuing education courses for CNAs are called in-services. You must complete a certain amount of continuing education every renewal period in order to renew your certification. You must complete continuing education in-services in certain topics every renewal period. These will include bloodborne pathogens and infection control, domestic violence, medical record documentation, resident rights, communication with cognitively impaired individuals, CPR skills, and medical error prevention and safety. So remember your expiration date on your certification. You need to compute how many months you will have that certification to determine how many hours you need. You will need 1 hour of in-service for every month that you are certified. First, locate the date that your certification was issued. Then locate your expiration date. Count the number of months that you will have your certification in this certification period. So if this certification issue date was January 1st, 2017, and the expiration date is May 31st, 2018, there are 17 months of certification. This certification will be valid for 17 months before renewal. So this certification will require 17 hours of in-services for renewal. Once you have done your required topics, the remainder of the hours can be in a topic you choose. Choose topics that relate to your work environment or an environment that you want to work in. The topics you choose are entirely up to you, and the choices are endless. In-services can even help you if you want to change jobs. How? I'm glad you asked. Let's say that you currently work in a dementia unit. But then your friend tells you about a job opening at a local hospital. You've never worked in a mother-baby unit, but you really want this job. You can complete in-service topics related to this new opportunity to show motivation. This shows that although you lack experience, you are willing to learn. Supervisors like that. Now that you know how many in-service hours you need for renewal and what the required topics are, you need to find out how to get them. Most workplaces require an orientation session for new employees. Some employers will give you in-service credit for completing these modules during orientation. In-services can be awarded for watching videos, classroom instruction, formal group discussions, or even self-study at home. This is a great interview question. Do you offer in-service training hours? In-services can also be awarded for topics discussed in monthly workplace meetings. Sometimes hospitals and other community agencies will host continuing education opportunities. These are often advertised online or in community newspapers or bulletins. But for many CNAs, the easiest way to get your required in-services is online. There are many online in-service providers. Each is structured a bit differently, but most have some sort of free trial. Simply search for CNA In-Services Florida in your favorite search engine. If you are unsure if the provider you want to use is recognized by the Board of Nursing as an approved provider, you can check them out on CE Broker. Go to cebroker.com. Under course search, select your state and your profession, and then click the Begin Search bar. Now click the Providers tab to access a list of approved providers. You can also search for courses right on this website. So far, we've learned how to work at least once as a CNA for pay this renewal cycle, and we've learned how to complete the required number of in-service hours. So all that's left is to renew and pay the fee. The bottom of your certification card contains the information you will need to renew. Your specific renewal instructions are printed here. Once you access the website listed on your certification card, flhealthsource.gov, click on Renew a License. After logging in, follow the prompts, check off the requirements, and pay the fee. Renewal can take less than 15 minutes to complete, as long as all of your requirements are met. You will sign in with your username and password on your certification card. You do not have to send anything to the Board of Nursing to prove that you've met the requirements. You only need to send proof, which would consist of a pay stub and in-service certificates, if the Board of Nursing requests them from you. You must keep your proof for at least 4 years after renewing. Never, ever lie on your renewal. The Board of Nursing does periodic audits. The penalties for lying on your renewal are severe. Make sure you've met all the requirements before completing your renewal. You now have all the knowledge you need to renew your CNA certification in Florida. Remember to look at your new certification card for your next expiration date. Until then, happy caregiving. All right. Any questions on renewal?
Bigger for all the instructions, I think.
Yeah, the biggest thing to remember is you are joining a group already in progress. So your first renewal will not be a full 2-year renewal. So you need to look at your blue card when you get it for your expiration date, so you know when you're going to be expiring. But your first renewal, because you're joining a group, your first renewal will not be a full 2 years. After that, it will.
The in-service hours, are you able to put those in like up to May 31st, or do they have an earlier cutoff time?
No, up to May. You can do them on May 31st.
Okay, because my EMT one was like, oh, you're about to expire, and then it's like, and your hours are due on this date, and it's a month before the expiration date. And I was like, that's upset.
No. And in Florida, you do not have to provide proof of your in-services.
Yeah.
You're checking a box. It's the honor system. You're checking a box that says, I completed them before doing this renewal.
Gotcha.
So now they may audit you, and then you would have to provide proof, but you don't have to, there's no deadline for that.
Do you think the auditing is gonna happen more and more since the fake nurses thing happened in Florida?
Possibly, but I don't really think that affects the CNA industry too terribly much. But yes, as far as nursing, there's more scrutiny. Yeah. Nursing continuing education is a little bit different. There is a reporting system. There's a third party vendor involved. There's a lot of oversight there, but at the CNA level, there really isn't, because in Florida, any RN can award in-services. So it would be virtually impossible to approve all people that are awarding it. And that's because, remember that CNAs, we follow the care plan, and you can be trained on different skills, right? Like delegation. So if I'm training on catheters, removing catheters, because that's part of your workplace, I can actually award you in-service credit for that conversation and that demonstration. So because of that, there's not as much oversight at the CNA level. And that's primarily because you guys have no liability. The liability falls on the nurse. Okay. So does that make sense? Good. Make sure that you work at least once for pay as a CNA in order to renew. So there's a million home health agencies out there, and they're all hiring. They are all hiring. In fact, we've got several over there that have stopped in and said, please tell your students to come see us. There's one right over here behind the pink dinosaur, the little pink dinosaur here. It's called Health Matters, and the owner's name is Ruth. I know her very well. We've worked together for like 17 years. So if you can't find a place, go see Ruth, and she'll give you a shift in order to renew. Now, they may call you occasionally and say, hey, we've got an opening, but it's a good way to pick up some extra money. When I was working in clinical life, in clinical sites, I always had a secondary home health job that I would do. And I would just pick up a visit here and there when I needed extra money. It was great for Christmas. It was great. So in October and November, man, I would work my butt off to be able to have the money I needed for Christmas. So good opportunities there. Now, if you want to move out of state, if you go to page 123, you'll see a listing of all of the boards of nursing. So let's say that you want to move to Idaho. I don't know why, but let's say you want to move to Idaho. And you have a Florida CNA certification. Well, you would call up Idaho Board of Nursing and say, I'm a Florida CNA. What are the requirements to become an Idaho CNA? And there's something called reciprocity. It's a big word. Where reciprocity means that you don't have to really do much. They're going to give you a certification in the new state based on the fact that you already have one in another state. So you would do their background check, because remember, background checks are always state level. So you'd have to do a background check, and you would have to pay a fee because nobody does anything for free. And then you would get a certification in that state that would allow you to work. Not all states offer reciprocity. You would want to find that out before you move. So keep that in mind. You want to start this process at least 6 weeks before you move, because it can take a little bit of time to get all of this settled. Okay. I do want to remind you that this is a test prep class. We did not go out and do clinicals on live people in a clinical setting. So this is not a 120-hour state approved Board of Nursing program. So if you are moving to a state that requires a 120-hour state of Florida Board of Nursing approved program, this is not it. So this will not meet the educational requirements of some of the other states. Most states are like, we don't care. You've got one, we'll give you one. It's fine. But there are some states that are a little bit pickier, and they require that you have completed that Board of Nursing approved CNA program. This does not qualify for that. All right, so on page 123 and 124, you have all of the contact information for the Board of Nursing. So let's talk about page 125 now. Finding a job in healthcare is a little bit different than finding a job in any other industry. And that's because there are always openings in healthcare. So recently, like a couple weeks ago, I had an opening for the retail store. So I went on to, the big jobs boards that everybody uses, right? And I typed in my information, I want to post a job. They were going to charge me $26 for every single application I received. And their estimate was, I'm sorry, $13 for every application that I received. And their estimate was that I was going to need about 125 applications to find a suitable candidate. So if you do that math, that's a whole lot of money. That's like $1,300 just to find somebody to work. That's a lot of money. Now, if I always have a position there, am I going to just keep paying that money over and over and over and over? No, that's insane. So in healthcare, because there are always openings, those jobs boards are not the best place to look. You're much, much better off going directly to the website of the place that you want to work. So if you want to work at the hospital down the street, go to the hospital down the street's website, thehospitaldownthestreet.com, right? So you would want to go directly to their website, look for jobs or careers on their website. There's always a link there, and click on that to search what they have available at that moment. That is going to be the most up-to-date job listing for that facility, and it's free for them. It makes more sense than paying one of those big jobs boards a specific amount of money. And by the way, retail is way lower at the application cost than healthcare. So where it cost me $13 per application, for healthcare, it was costing them $26. So keep in mind that that's not your first action, is to go on those jobs boards. Does that make sense? Okay. So we need to understand that, healthcare is a little bit different than other industries because there's always openings. Now, one of the things that I definitely recommend if you're trying to get into a hospital is to be persistent. And you have to understand how this whole thing works. If you go on to the hospitaldownthestreet.com, right, whatever that hospital name is, and you click on their jobs tab and you see 4 CNA positions listed, 1 for 2 North, 1 for 2 South, 1 for 3 North, and 1 for 3 South. Because hospitals, I don't know why, but they always label their units like that. Yeah, so you've got 4 positions open. Now, if you just click on the first one and apply to it, that is the only position you are applying for. So if you're clicking on 2 North, 2 South, 3 North, and 3 South, do not know you exist. It doesn't go to them. It only goes to that one position. So if you're on a hospital website trying to get a hospital job and you don't have a very specific area you want to work, you need to fill out all of those applications. Does that make sense? You also need to make sure that the application matches the job description exactly. So if the job description says CPR required on your application, you need to put CPR certified. If the job description says BLS required, you wouldn't want to put on your application CPR certified. Okay. Even though BLS is CPR for healthcare providers, right? So if you put CPR on your application, it would be accurate, but it doesn't match. And the automated system actually goes through to make sure everything matches. If it doesn't match, your application disappears. So the best piece of advice I can give you is to apply to all positions. Make sure your application matches the job description that they've posted, and be persistent. Apply. A week later, apply again. A week later, apply again. Persistence does seem to be key. Okay, good. But that's not the only place that you can go looking. Most healthcare providers now have social media channels. They have Facebook page, they have Instagram, they have Twitter, and they will post when they have job openings. They will post job fairs. So if you kind of look at social media and start liking a lot of these employers' pages, you will be notified when opportunities come up. So actually, that's how I got my new employees. I decided that cost, that $13 per application, was pretty high. I didn't want to pay that. So I went on to Facebook and I posted in 2 different groups, hey, I'm looking for some help. And I got lots of applicants. And that didn't cost me anything. Right? So it's a much better opportunity as an employer to try to find people. So go on to social media. But, those ads aren't going to show up on your feed unless you've liked those pages. Right? Make sense? Okay. The other suggestion that I make for finding a job in healthcare is to use your social circle. Everybody knows somebody that works in healthcare. Everybody. Because it's the dominant industry here. So you may have somebody in your family that works in healthcare, or your neighbor works in healthcare, or your best friend's mom works in healthcare. You need to look at your social circle and start asking, hey, is your place hiring? Because most places will give referral bonuses. So if I ask you, Iracema, is your place hiring? And you say yes, and let them know I sent you. If I get hired, she's going to get money, and so am I. So it's a win-win situation. So instead of the facility having to pay a jobs board, they'd rather pay you. Right? Sounds good to me. So check out your social circle for job openings as well. Plus, it's easier to get hired if you're coming with a recommendation from somebody that already works there. Good? Okay. So in the middle of the second column on page 125, I talked to you about a packet. This is probably more important than you realize. So in this packet, you should have a copy of your resume. If you don't have a resume, go to CareerSource. They'll help you make one, and it's free. Go get a resume. You should have a copy of your CNA card. Do not ever give anybody an original anything, ever. They'll lose it. They'll hold it for ransom. They'll do all kinds of stuff with it. No one gets your original but you. So your original certification card, your original CPR card, your original first aid card, no one gets the originals. Put copies in. They do need a copy of your CPR and first aid card. They need a copy of the certificates that you're going to get from me that shows that you did go through this program. They're going to have a copy of all your continuing education or in-services that you've already done. Any additional certification that you have, like some people, do you know you can get like free certifications on CareerSource, like keyboarding, customer service. So if you want to pad this out a little bit, make it look a little more impressive, go spend an hour on the computer on CareerSource's website, get a couple certifications and put them in there, especially customer service. That's always a good, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you got to deal with people. Doesn't matter what industry, you got to deal with people. So customer service is always a good one that I recommend. Okay. Conflict resolution is another one. Conflict resolution is a really good certification to have. And then a copy of your driver's license too, so that they can remember you, right? They now have a picture of you. So you should have this whole thing in a packet. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be on super nice paper. It doesn't have to be in a presentation folder, nothing like that. Just plain old copies are fine. Go to Staples. Put all of this together and take it with you when you go for your interview. And this is why. So if I am interviewing, and I'm interviewing Iracema and I'm interviewing Rosina, right? Both of them come in. They both have equal amount of experience. They both interview just fine, no issues. And I've got to make a decision, one or the other. If I want to hire Iracema, I have to say, okay, I'd like to offer you the position, but this is what I need from you for my employee file. I need your resume. Our corporation requires that we have a resume on file. I need a copy of your certification card, your CPR, your first aid, any in-services that you have, any additional certifications, and a copy of your driver's license and social security card for our records. So get all of that together, drop it off at Human Resources. When your employee file is complete, we'll give you a call and you can start. Or I could pick up the phone and say, Rosina, I'd like to offer you the position. Can you start on Monday? Which one am I going to do as the employer? Less work, less time. She can start immediately because she brought all of the paperwork to me that I needed to hire her. Guys, they will hire the person with the packet. If you didn't bring a packet, somebody did. I guarantee you somebody brought a packet, and that's the person that's getting the job. Okay, good. Something that I always did when I applied and interviewed for positions, I don't consider an interview over until I have nailed out my thank you card. So before I go into the interview, I write out, I go to the Dollar Tree and get a pack of 10 thank you cards, and I write out dear, and I leave it blank. Thank you for the opportunity to interview with you today. Please let me know if you require any additional documentation. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, my name. It's already written out. My envelope is already addressed. The only thing that I have to fill in is the name of the person that I interviewed with. So when I go in and do my interview, I'll get a business card from that person or write down their name. You should always have a notebook with you. Write down their name. When I go back out to my car, I fill in the name on the card and the envelope. I go directly to the post office and drop it in the mail. Now, yes, you can send an email, but an email is very impersonal. Guys, I've got 1,200 emails in my inbox at the moment. I just don't want to go through them, right? That's a whole lot of stuff for me to try to sort through. And that's just since Friday, by the way. Okay. So that's a whole lot of emails for me to search through to find your thank you email. If it comes to me in the mail, it's not competing with anything. It's got my attention because I don't get mail very often. It's got my attention. Now, I'm also going to tell you that there's nothing that's going to make you stand out on your own right now. You don't have a lot of experience. There's nothing that's really going to make you think, okay, Gabrielle's going to be fantastic. I'm going to hire her. There's nothing that's going to make you kind of stand out right away. You may interview great, and that's awesome, but you can't be hired if you're not remembered. And if you're the only one that I'm interviewing today, I'll probably remember you. But if I interview everybody at this table today, yeah, I'm probably not going to remember everybody that I interviewed. So the way that you get hired is to get remembered. The way you get remembered is to send a thank you card. Trust me, thank you cards work. And I'll tell you how they work. Even a follow-up phone call is good. So I interviewed somebody for the retail position. I had 2 part-time positions open. I hired one. I was doing interviews on the second one. And one of the interviews gave me a follow-up phone call 2 days later. I hired her on the phone. Yep, you got the job. Start Tuesday. Now, I had not made up my mind prior to her calling. Why did I make up my mind that quick? When she called on the phone to inquire, to do a follow-up call, to inquire. Made her stand out. I was able to remember her, and it made it easy. I didn't have to pick up the phone, look up her number, call her. She did the work for me. So if she does the work for me and I'm not even paying her, she'll do the work for me when I am. Does that make sense? These are all strategies to put you in the lead to get hired. And they work. They work. All right, so page 126. Oh, one other thing when you're finding a job, I forgot to tell you about this. So if you go onto my website, foryourcna.com, under after certification, if you click on that, a drop-down menu comes up, you'll see local employers. If you click on that local employers, that is specific to Hernando County only. If you click on that local employers, this is the page that comes up. You can see all the hospitals listed here, all of the nursing homes, all of the ALFs. And if you scroll down, I've got, there must be 50 or 60 employers on this page. But if you click on it, see how it looks like a card? If you click on that, it will take you to their website, their hiring page, jobs listing on their web. I've done all the work for you guys. You don't even have to Google search this. All you have to do is go to my website, click on local employers, and click on the employers listed here, and it will take you to their website, the place that you can search the jobs and apply. Okay? Done all the work for you. And same menu, just below that, you see that CNA renewal instructions. That's the video we just watched. That's where it lives. Okay? So once you've applied for a job and you get an interview, we kind of have to talk about what do you do in the interview. So chapter 10 went into this in a little bit more detail, but in a nutshell, make sure that you're dressed appropriately. There's an old saying, dress for the job you intend to get. So what do CNAs wear? Scrubs. So scrubs are appropriate for an interview. It's fine. You can wear scrubs, but They need to be neat, clean, pressed. They need to have creases in them. Don't pull them out of the dryer, shake them out, and throw them on like we do for class, right? You want to make sure that they have nice, sharp creases. If you don't know how to do creases, take them to a dry cleaner. They'll do them for you. But make sure that they look good. No prints. Do not wear prints to an interview. I have got the cutest Tinkerbell top next door. I absolutely love this top and I want it, but I'm not going to get it. Do not wear prints to an interview because most places now require solids. And if you go in a cute Tinkerbell top print, they know they're going to have to play fashion police if they hire you. And that is not the role they want to take on. So wear solids. Always safer. Darker colors are best. If you know what color the CNAs wear at that facility, and you've got that color, wear that color. That tells them that you did your homework. Okay, those are all subliminal things that help put you in the lead. Good. If you have visible tattoos, make sure you're wearing an undershirt under your scrubs or a jacket over your scrubs until you find out what their tattoo policy is. There is a, I actually need to talk about this on one of my lives. There is a misconception out there that employers cannot discriminate against tattoos, and that is absolutely false. You guys know that? Tattoos are not a federally protected anti-discrimination item. Sex is, right? So they can't hold the fact that you're a woman against you. Race is, religion is, tattoos are not. So you need to find out what their tattoo policy is before you get hired. Good. I would limit jewelry as well, particularly rings and bracelets, anything that would affect your ability to wash your hands. Earrings really should be stud earrings, not hoops or drop earrings. The amount of earrings you have doesn't really matter, just nothing that could maybe catch, somebody's hand. I hate this part. Okay. So, that when you go for an interview, they're going to ask you one specific question and nobody is ever prepared for this question. So if I asked you, tell me a little bit about yourself, you're going to do the whole deer in the headlights look. You what? What? You know it's coming. You know this question is going to be asked on there isn't a single interview anywhere that doesn't ask this question. And yet nobody knows how to answer it. I mean, this is an open book test. You are the subject. Tell me why I should consider you. So it shouldn't be, well, I was born in Virginia. Not what they want to know. They want to know why you're the right candidate for this position. So it should be something that brings out all of the skills you've learned throughout your lifetime. So you might have something like, I'm coming out of a food service background where I was a server and I learned prioritization, organization skills, the ability to anticipate needs, the ability to resolve conflicts, understanding the importance of following policies and procedures. Those are all great skills that you guys have, right? Even though you got them in food service, there's still skills that translate into medical. And then you would want to say something like, I realized that food service wasn't fulfilling me, and I really have a heart to help people. So I took a CNA class, and I just recently got certified. This will be my first CNA position, but I'm super excited to bring my heart and my joy into an arena where I can help others more effectively. That is what they're looking for. why you're good for this position, what you're bringing to the table, even though it may not have anything to do with CNA directly, you still have skills, and a little bit about your personality, why you would be good for this. So you need to start working on it. Because why would I hire you if you can't tell me why I should hire you? And you're the authority on why I should hire you. This also has everything to do with observation and reporting. Remember, that's half of our job as a CNA. If you can't even observe your own traits, how in the world are you going to observe changes in another individual? If you can't report to me what you know about you, how are you going to report to me what you find out about the patient? So this has particular importance in the CNA world. Does that make sense? So start working on your tell me a little bit about yourself speech. Good. All right. So a couple other things. You want to make sure that you're arriving early. I'm not talking about Tuesday early, but 10 minutes early is good. And when you're there waiting for your interview, because the whole purpose of being early is so that you're going to wait, this is not the time to try to level up on Candy Crush. Where should your phone be? Car. Phone should be in the car. It should not be in your pocket. It should be in the car. You should not be distracting yourself. You should be sitting quietly and observing the facility, because this is a place that you are promising to spend at least half of your waking hours, maybe more. You want to make sure it's a place that you agree to spend half of your hours, maybe more. So you want to use all of your senses here. Take a smell. If it smells bad, proper care is not being provided at that place. Is that a place you want to work? Probably not. Watch, look, are call lights going off and nobody's answering them? Listen, how are staff members interacting with patients and other staff members? You need to be monitoring that place to find out, is this where I want to work? Because you will have opportunities. When you start putting out applications, if you're putting out 8 applications, you're probably going to get at least 6 job opening offers. So now you got to figure out, where do I want to work? So use your senses during the interview to help narrow that down. Okay. And that's what arriving early is all about. It sets the right tone for the interview, but more importantly, it gives you time to sit down, decompress, and watch and listen. What are you getting yourself into? Make sure you're odor neutral, by the way. You should not have a lot of perfumes on. Also, please don't smell like cigarette smoke or alcohol. I shouldn't have to say that, but I do.
Don't drink the night before.
Yeah, don't drink the morning of. Make sure that you smile. This is not torture. It's not meant to be torture. If you go in looking like it's torture, they're not going to hire you, because if you're tortured during the interview, just wait until you put in a whole shift, right? So you need to look like you enjoy being there. Make eye contact. That's super important as a CNA. Remember, observation and reporting. If you aren't able to make eye contact during an interview, if your whole interview you're looking down like this and you're not looking at the person that you're talking to and you're fiddling and fidgeting, that tells me that there's no way that you're going to be able to function in a high stress situation. Does that make sense? Shake hands firmly. No wet fish. Nobody's going to kiss your ring. Don't do this. Hand out. You don't want to compete. It's not an arm wrestling tournament. but hand out, grasp, once up, once down is perfectly okay. But don't do this. And this is something that I see a lot of young women do. This is not a handshake. This is a handshake. And it really helps show confidence in yourself. And that's something that they're looking for. Okay? Yeah, you're probably going to be nervous, and that's okay. And sometimes our palms sweat when we're nervous, and that's okay. Keep your hand in your pocket. And when you pull it out to shake, if you know you have sweaty palms, keep your hand in your pocket. When you pull it out to shake hands, you just wipe it across your pocket and shake their hand. So for those that have sweaty palms, it's a great way to kind of overcome that. Good. Make sure you're answering questions thoroughly, but not excessively. So be complete, but be brief. Respect their time, right? Because interviewing, they still have to do all of their daily tasks, right? Their daily tasks don't stop. They got to interview around their daily tasks. So we want to be brief and complete. Okay. And then we want to ask some questions at the end of the interview. We're going to get to that in just a minute. I got some questions on page 127, but let me talk to you about the next one. Leave your pets, your family, and your friends home. And let me explain to you why this is an issue. I'll give you a couple of examples here. There was a nursing home here locally that this older lady comes in on a walker and sits down in the lobby, and the receptionist sees this and she asks the older lady, "Can I help you?" And the older lady says, no, I'm just waiting for somebody. Okay, no worries. So about 2 or 3 minutes later, this young girl comes in and checks in for the interview. She sits down next to the older lady on the walker, and they're talking. Receptionist doesn't really pay any attention to this. So the supervisor comes out to get the young girl, takes her back in to do the interview, and asks her about experience. And the young girl says, yes, I do have some experience. Can you hold on just a minute? I'll be right back. And the interviewer, the supervisor, is thinking, well, maybe she has to go pee. Maybe she's nervous, something like that. The girl comes back in with the older lady, brings her into the interview room and says, so tell her that I've been taking care of you for a while. She brought her patient with her to the interview as a reference. Please don't do that. That is like seriously awkward. What is the supervisor supposed to say to that? I mean, that's just like really awkward. So don't do that. I'll give you another one. Now, I got to preface this by saying that I kind of get this one now because I just got a puppy a month ago, not even 3 weeks ago. And she's this little teeny ball of fur. She's a Labradoodle, but she only weighs 3 pounds. I mean, she is tiny. And she's still a puppy. I mean, she is a baby, right? So sometimes I'll put her in the little carrier and I'll bring her to work with me because I don't have anybody at home. If I'm going to be gone, I can't crate her for 8 hours. She's too small yet, right? So I get this. I do now, right? But let me tell you about a situation I was in 20 years ago. So my supervisor was on maternity leave, and I was the interim supervisor while she was gone. And I had to interview some nurses for a position that was open. And I was young, and I was a brand new nurse. I was young. And I had this one older lady come in, and she's got this big purse with her. She sets it down on the floor. We're talking, and I hear this scuffling sound, and I couldn't figure out what it was. Well, this was over in Orlando, and it was in an older hospital. And on the other side of our unit, that whole section was closed down. They were renovating. It was an older hospital. So I'm thinking to myself, right? I'm in this little tiny closet. It's literally, the office was a closet. I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, there's a rat in here. a mouse from the construction, right? And I don't want to freak out this older lady, but I'm hearing the scuffling sound and I'm getting really, really concerned. So I'm like, let's go take a tour of the unit because I'm trying to get her out without being obvious about this. Let's go take a tour. So we go take a tour. We end up in the employee break room to finish up the interview because I'm not taking her back into that office. There's a mouse in there in my mind. And she's, got her purse. We tour the unit. We go into the employee break room. She puts the purse on the floor and I hear this scuffling sound again. And I'm like, what is that? And she says, oh, you must hear Precious. What's Precious? Oh, that's my little dog. She had this little teacup something, right? Little teeny tiny dog. And I said, oh, you brought a dog to the interview. And she completely missed the sarcasm. And she says, well, yes, Precious goes everywhere with me. She has separation anxiety. She can't be home alone. And I said, oh, so where is Precious going to be if you get this position? And she says, oh, she'll stay here in the break room. Thank you very much. We'll be in touch. Yeah, so I get it now, right? Because I've got this precious little Precious, I get it, but it's still not appropriate. And pets in a facility are not appropriate ever. So please don't bring your pets to an interview. It's happened, guys. I mean, these are real cautionary tales. These are real things that have happened. Please don't be that. I will use you as a story if you do. I will. Okay. Fair warning. So we have to make sure that we're presenting as professional an image as possible. So when you go to the interview, you should have a notebook with you. Just go get one of those small pocket-sized notebooks or take some index cards or just something to write stuff down. Because if they offer you the position, they're going to give you information that you're going to need. And if you don't have any way to write it down, you will forget. And it usually goes something like this. Caitlin, I'd like to offer you the position. And I need you to come in on Monday. You're going to go to the second floor of the medical office building. And Janine is going to be the one that does your orientation. You'll be there for 3 days. And then you're going to come over here. And Sandra is who you're going to be precepting with. So medical office building, second floor, 8 o'clock. Dress code is scrubs. And then you'll be with Sandra over here after 3 days. Okay. Now, do you think you're going to remember that in five minutes?
No.
Do you think you're going to remember that in 2 days?
No.
So that's the problem. So now you're calling up the receptionist going, I got hired, but I don't know where I'm supposed to go or who I'm supposed to see. That receptionist doesn't know either. So make sure that you take notes. This is why you need to have a notebook. If they offer you the position, you need to be jotting down what they're saying. Second floor, medical office building, Janine, 8:30, scrubs, 3 days, Sandra, preceptor, right? Write all of that down so that now you've got the information that you need. Good. There's going to come a point in your interview where they're going to ask you, do you have any questions for me? And the very worst thing you can do is say, no, I'm good. Because if you say no, it shows that you're either uninformed or uninterested. That is not the impression you want to leave an interviewer with. You need to have some questions. Well, luckily for you, I've got a whole list of them on page 127 for you. A lot of this will be covered during the interview, like the schedule. Are weekends required? Does this position mandate? I want you to pay attention to that word, mandate. Who here has small children and you have to rely on daycare?
Well, I have my parents.
Okay. Mandate is your worst enemy. What mandate means is when you're working a shift, say you're supposed to get off at 3 p.m. If your relief does not show up, mandate means you have to stay over until we find somebody to relieve you. That may not happen until 11 p.m. when the third shift comes on. If you've got daycare issues, that is a big problem because daycares don't stay open till 11 p.m. So you need to know that going into it. Does this position mandate? Good. A lot of them do. And that's because we're short-staffed. And it's just this simple fact. I actually talked about this a couple weeks ago on my live. We are about 1 million CNA short nationwide. It's about how many we need. But we've got 1.3 million CNAs currently working. So if every CNA just looked around their social circle, found one person that they thought would make a good CNA, talked them into it, hey, you need to do what I do. I love my job, right? Get them trained and certified, and that can happen within like 3 months. You can, in 3 months' time, we could become fully staffed. And that job that you don't really like right now because you're always short-staffed would become a great job because now all of a sudden you are fully staffed. We are 3 months from being able to take care of this CNA shortage. This is one of the rare industries that we can double our workforce in a very short period of time, but it requires all of you to recruit. All you got to do is get one person. If you did that, man, it would be awesome. Most people are dissatisfied with their job, not because of what they do. They like what they do. They just don't like it because there's not enough of them to do it. And you can fix that. Does that make sense? Okay. So make sure that you're portraying your industry in a positive light, not a negative one. Because if you're out there telling people how horrible your job is, nobody's going to want to enter healthcare. Why would they? So be careful about your reputation as an industry.
So many people use the word all the time. Yesterday, I a little fighting with a CNA right there because I got to clean the room. And you know what's that means the room is staffed. You know, the ones very fast. So suppose I can touch the IV poles or with the things and everything like that. And they call me for a staff. So I go there and the room is the same. Don't touch nothing. And I call her and I say, why you don't do the things? I need to clean the room. And she said, you don't understand nothing. I say, when you come in right here and you do my job, then you understand. And I say, I understand right now. Because I see all the things you do. Right now it's 3 CNAs. The other one is back and forth with the thing. And you training the other one. And you don't train in the right way. I see that. And she say, but you don't know, maybe you come in training. And I say, okay, I don't fighting with you, but I told you, say, suppose you do the things, whatever you need to do.
Yeah, and we do have to remember that healthcare is a team sport. It takes everybody.
Yeah.
I am eternally grateful for housekeeping because without housekeeping, on top of everything else I'd have to do, I'm taking out the trash and mopping the floors and cleaning the bathrooms on top of everything else. Hey, we've got somebody that can help me with that. They are my new best friend. Absolutely. Because without them, I would have more work to do. It's a team sport, but at the goal at the end of it is to take good care of the patients. And sometimes we do forget that. We get focused on us rather than the patient. And that's why we kind of have to remember that it's always about the patient, not us. And this is why I do my Thursdays, is to kind of remind those that are still working or that are currently working to kind of get maybe our priorities shifted a little bit and reignite that spark, because it's really easy to flame out, guys. It's a lot of work. I don't fault them for it. I don't. I understand how easy it is to fall into the monotony day to day. And then you start focusing on you because you're the constant there. But my goal is on the Thursdays to provide a little bit of inspiration and remind us why we got into this to begin with, and maybe refocus a little bit more on the patients. So I don't fault them, but sometimes we all need a little bit of a reality check. Yeah. Happens here too. I mean, there are days that, I have to be reminded why I do what I do.
I will say, at my facility, I love our housekeeping staff. They're so helpful. I mean, I've had to take all of my patients out of one room and move them into another care room and be like, and the housekeeping staff was like, I'm gonna get in there real quick and clean this up because I had one patient just blew up everywhere. And I'm like, if you can, that would be phenomenal so that I can put them back in this room.
That's
But
amazing.
without that, like midday, like she could have been like, oh yeah, I'll get it at 4 o'clock when everyone's gone.
Yeah.
Or that kind of thing. And I always make sure, like, at the end of the day, if I've got a few extra minutes, I go ahead and I clean up and sanitize as many things as I can so that doesn't take them more time at the end of the day.
Right.
Like, and that's, it's so helpful. They'll do, patient laundry for us so that it's all caught up so we can send it home at the end of the day instead of being like, well, I don't know whose shirt this is that got thrown in. I don't know whose pants these are. And they're all stuck here in a pile. It's really nice. I love them. They're nice.
Absolutely. And when you have a facility that works as a team,
Mhm.
oh, don't leave that
yeah.
place. Don't leave that place. That is worth gold when you can build a good team. See, me personally, I would want to recruit people that I liked to work with. So if I can go to work and I can be with my friends at work and we can all work together instead of having this constant fighting situation. If I'm a CNA, I'm recruiting all of my friends. Okay, you're going to get certified. You're going to come here. You're going to work on shift with me because I'm a little selfish. I want you. Right. But man, if you can build a good team and you're at a facility that really espouses that team dynamic, it makes life so much easier. We used to do team nursing. That used to actually be a thing. It was called team nursing. And the team consisted of a nurse, some CNAs, a housekeeper, and they all worked, together on a unit. And it wasn't your patients and your patients. It was our patients. And whatever that, whoever's closest to the call light is going to get it. You guys could work together on rolling patients and transferring patients. And you never had to go searching for somebody to help you with a difficult task because it was a team. And I loved team nursing. I really did. When you had a good team, it was awesome. But when you had a bad team, you were then stuck doing twice the work. Because the second person, if they're out on break all the time or hiding in a break room and now you're trying to handle all of it, the responsibility is split, but the actual work wasn't. And because they just couldn't get that integrity thing going, they kind of gave up on team nursing. And I think that's sad. I think that we probably should have put more effort into training and kept team nursing personally, but I don't write the rules. So.
Yeah, but I have the other one because you see they divide in sections to north, ICU, and tele. Usually right there is 2 west, but the 2 west is closed. So, but and tele they have another CNAs and nurses, and they all about the team. So they working with me. When they call me for a start, oh my God, when I go there.
Everything is ready for you.
Yeah, sometimes they take it out the garbage too. And I say, no, don't worry about the garbage. I say, no, I make it easy for you. So all the nurses, oh my God, I feel like it's
a family.
Family.
Yeah.
I don't worry about when I hear my phone and say, oh, that's Telly. Oh, I answer. And usually I know everybody by name. And I say, okay, I am here. So what you need? I say, oh, some people call me a lady, but like the other CNA, she's new and she hear about conversation with somebody. And my other job, they call me Biscuit.
Oh,
So I say, hey, Biscuit. And I say, how you know my name? They say, oh, I hear something about it. But she started calling me Biscuit and she's the name and I call Bri. And say, oh, it's okay. Would you work with me today? And I say, yeah. So
That's a
I
good,
feel
yeah, that's a good
comfortable
environment.
somebody-
Sure, absolutely. So to get to Caitlin's question from early this morning, one of the questions that you can ask is about pay, but it's all in the way that you ask it. So if it doesn't come up during the interview itself, before you leave, you should ask about pay, but you're not going to say, so how much are you going to pay me for this? That's not how we want to portray that. What we want to say is, what is the starting wage for somebody with my level of experience for this position? Because it's not presumptuous. You're not assuming that you have the job. You're gathering information. So what is the starting wage for somebody with my level of experience for this position? And that's your opening of negotiations. Okay. So they may say something like, well, here we're starting out at $14 an hour, but we're offering these benefits as well, or we are offering for the shift that you're working, $16 an hour with shift differential, or, they'll kind of give you an idea. If you feel like that's not adequate to meet your needs, you need to tell them, that's not adequate to meet my financial needs. And they may say, I'm sorry, that's all that the budget will allow. And then that position is not for you. If it's not going to meet your needs, unless you have a way of cutting down your needs, and I don't know how to do that, you need to be honest with them, because you don't want to waste any more of their time, and they don't need to waste any more of yours. Okay? So be professional about it. I think that they should pay more. Personally, I think that wages are increasing. I think they will continue to increase, but there is a fine line there between adequate wages and trying to figure out how to say this without sounding move over so I can see you. So here's the problem. Okay. How long are we here in this class? 4 weeks, a month, right? So this is short-term training. I can produce CNAs within a month. Short-term training. That means that employers can train a workforce in about a month, month and a half. There is nothing special about you. You need to understand that. You did not go to school for 3 years. You are easily replaceable. Nurses, takes 3 years to get a new nurse trained. They are not easily replaceable. Do you guys see the difference there? Short-term training. So because it's short-term training and you are easily replaceable, wages are going to stay low. You guys understand the dynamics there? Because if you leave because you're not making enough money, it's not a big deal. They can find somebody else. Short-term training, easily replaceable, always equals low wages. Wages are rising, but there's a dynamic here as well. If I told you before you ever got into CNA, before you ever even thought about taking a CNA class, if I told you, hey, you can go to class for 4 weeks and make $30 an hour, you'd be all over that. Now, you didn't come to this class because you're going to be making awesome money. You came to this class because you have a heart to help people. That's what brought you here. When the wages rise too much, we start getting a workforce that is not there for the right reasons. Does that make sense? So I do believe that wages need to rise for CNAs. I do. I think that it should be $20 an hour standard. I don't know that we will ever get there because of these 2 forces. Okay, short-term training, easily replaceable. And if we pay a lot of money, we're going to attract the wrong kind of people. So we have two problems that are trying to keep your wages low. Does that make sense? But all is not lost. I don't want you to go out of this with a defeatist feeling. The more professional you are, the more you elevate the industry, the higher your wages will go. But a lot of this is up to you. If you are showing up in scrubs that are ripped and stained and full of holes and don't match, you are not portraying your industry professionally. If you are complaining to the nurses that, that they don't understand your job, if you're fighting with the nurses, you don't understand your role and you are not behaving professionally. If you're out there telling the community that you're nothing more than a butt wiper, you are not portraying your industry professionally. Are you starting to see a trend here? This is what is out there, guys. This is how your peers are portraying your industry. You can put a stop to that. You want better wages, you need to be seen as a professional. And that means everybody needs to be on board. When that happens, wages will rise. Does that make sense? But this is something that most CNAs don't really think about, and it's not something that's talked about. CNAs do not have a professional image at this point, but you could. So if you're working with coworkers that do those things, you need to do what you can to influence how they're portraying the industry. Set a good example. Okay. Good. Okay. So there's other questions there that you can ask, but number 6 is the one that we were just talking about, Caitlin. What is the starting pay for somebody with my level of experience for this position? You may have to have a physical. You may have to do a drug test. You probably will have to get a TB test. All of those are pretty standard for medical, but those are all questions you'd want to ask during the interview as well, if they offer the position. All right. So any questions on finding a job, interviewing for the job, or following up after an interview? Any questions on any of that?
We can get a job right now.
You can. So there's a lot of places that don't require certification. That's anywhere but nursing homes.
Okay.
Federally, the only place that you have to be a CNA to work at is a nursing home. That's the only place that requires certification is a nursing home. Now, a lot of places prefer certification. So if you look at a hospital, they'll probably have CNA listed. They prefer certification. And, if you've got your test date, you can certainly apply and tell them, hey, I'm testing on Tuesday, but the only place federally that you have to be certified is a nursing home. But assisted living facilities, oh, they love you. You are trained. You come to them trained, and they will give you a little bit more money once you get certified as well. But you can also look at rehabs like Encompass Health South. You can look at mental health centers like Springbrook.
That's
You-
where I start working tomorrow.
Oh,
and
very
Friday.
good. Nice, nice. You can look at walk-in clinics. You can look at dialysis centers. You can look at doctor's offices. There's a couple listed right up there on the bulletin board. You can look at home health companies. So you can look at a lot of different places, but probably the most openings right now are in assisted living. Bless you. But there's everybody in our community, everybody is hiring. Everybody is hiring. Yeah. If you are not working as a CNA, it's because you don't want to work.
I don't like travel CNA.
That's a great question. So let me talk to you about travel. This drives me crazy. Okay, a lot of money to be made in travel. Lots and lots of money to be made in travel. In fact, I just saw one on my Facebook feed. They were offering $30 an hour for CNAs for travel. So here's what you have to consider. You guys are brand new. You are slow. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. You're supposed to be slow when you're brand new, but you are slow. You are not refined. You have no experience. You're fumbling through everything, and that's okay. This is your learning period. But when you go to work at an agency, you don't have the luxury of being slow. The whole purpose of you being there is because they don't have enough regular staff. They are paying a premium to have a substitute CNA. You don't know the patients. You don't know where to find the washcloths. You don't know where the shower room is. You don't know where to clock in. You don't know anything. You are literally walking in off the street to a brand new facility and you know nothing. And those people that are working there, they aren't going to help you because you're getting paid twice as much as they are to do the same job. So they are no help at all. So if you are slow, that's a problem. Does that make sense? Agency work is not for brand new people. It's just not. You need to get some experience before you try to go agency because it's setting you up for failure. But more importantly, it's setting the patients up for failure because there's no way that a brand new CNA will be able to work in a short staffed facility with no oversight or assistance. That means you're not going to get to all the care that those patients need. Does that make sense? It's not for new CNAs, but my own personal opinion is that agency should not exist for CNAs, period. And the reason for that is CNAs provide bedside care. You are going to spend on average about 30 minutes a shift with each one of your patients. As a nurse, I spend 4. So 30 minutes, 4 minutes. Who's going to know the patient best? The CNA, right? So good. As a nurse, I'm not going to pick up on changes in the patient. I don't see them enough. I don't spend enough time with them, but a CNA will. And when you have agency CNAs, they don't know the patient. So if the patient's a little bit confused today, they think, well, that must be the patient's normal. They're a little bit confused. And they totally miss the fact that the patient's got a urinary tract infection because confusion is the #1 sign of a new urinary tract infection in the elderly. But because they assume, oh, all people are a little confused, I'm not going to worry about it. I don't know this patient. I'm not going to report it. Things get missed. Agency CNAs are causing serious medical errors to occur in healthcare because things are not getting noticed and reported. They're there to do a task. But remember that half of our job is observation and reporting. When you're an agency CNA, all you're doing is the task part. There's nobody doing the observation and reporting. And that's why I am not in favor of agency CNAs. I think that it's causing serious concerns to go unnoticed in healthcare. That's my soapbox. I do know that money is out there. I know that it's very, very tempting. It is. And I don't fault you for going after it. I don't. But there is some very serious concerns with agency CNA that we need to confront head on. Good. Makes sense. Just something to kind of put in the back of your mind. If you do go agency, make sure that you understand enough about your patients that you can notice the changes that occur. Okay. They've seen an uptick in strokes that are occurring at long-term care facilities that are not being recognized within the window that we can effectively treat. And that, you know, it can be directly traced back to the staff is not consistent. There's no continuity of care. And that's sad. That's sad. You know, if it's the whole purpose of a patient going into a nursing home is because their family isn't qualified to take care of them, doesn't know enough to take care of them. Well, if they're paying $9,000 a month to be in a facility, supposedly with people that know enough to take care of them, and those people aren't taking care of them, you know, is it really worth that $9,000? Probably not. So that's my soapbox. All right, any other questions? No other questions? Okay. All right. Let's talk about the practice test. This is on page 142 of your white skills book. Some of you have taken this, some of you have not. If you have not, the practice test is there to make sure that you're ready for the state exam. If you miss 5 or less,
Oh, I told you, I already do, and I miss 5.
okay, if you miss 5 or less, you are ready for the state exam. If you miss more than 5, you probably need a little review. Okay. The ebook that I have on my website will definitely help you with learning how to answer the questions, especially if you have test anxiety. That will help you with that. But this practice test is a very good indicator of the types of questions you'll see on the state exam.
It's not the same question.
It's not the same questions. It's the same
Similar.
type. Yeah, similar. Anybody catch my game show yesterday at 11? Anybody catch that? So every other Tuesday, I do practice test questions live, and it's a game show format, and I give away prizes for the top scorers. So if you have a chance, go back and watch the one from yesterday, because you'll see some questions that are very similar to what you would see on the state exam. Okay. All right, we've already been over that. All right, so what I'd like you to do, I'm going to pass out your review sheets for today. And then after I pass out the review sheets, I don't think I have enough. Let me get one more. We're going to go outside and take a class photo in just a minute. So on your way out, get this last one here. On your way out, I want you to put your yellow book here for me. So as we go outside, so bring your yellow book, put it here, and then meet me outside, and we are going to take a class photo.
I know, no me bañé. Okay. Tall people will be on the yellow stripe, shorter people on the pavement. Tall people on the yellow stripe, shorter people on the pavement. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to kind of move you guys around a little bit. So I'm going to ask you to come around this side.
And I'm going to ask you to take her place. I'm color coding you. Okay. So Irasima, switch places there. Come on in a little bit. Oh, look at that. You guys are all nicely color coded. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is take a serious photo. We're going to smile because we just graduated. That's for the employers. Now this one's for you. Celebrate. Yay. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, I will post those on Facebook in just a few minutes.
But I don't have your page, so how I.
It's you can see it on the wall here. It's for your CNA medical training.
Oh.
Yeah. So look up for your CNA. It's number 4, YOURCNA. And I will post that in just a few minutes. Is Erica here? I don't think so. Okay. Okay. When I call your name, please come down and get your folder. Please don't open the folders till everybody has theirs. That way I only have to go through it once. Okay. You guys ready? Bren, come on down. Here, looks adorable.
Okay.
There you go. Congratulations. Nadia. Thank you. Congratulations. Lauren. Thank you. Irasima. Congratulations. Joanna. Congratulations. Rosina. Congratulations. Diamante. Congratulations. Caitlin. Congratulations. Joni. Congratulations. Gabrielle. Congratulations. And Amy. Congratulations. All right, go ahead and open your folders. The first thing that you'll see is a certificate. Suitable for framing, but not much else. It doesn't really do a whole lot. Remember, this isn't a 120-hour program, but it is nice to have some acknowledgement that you completed the program, and that's what this is. And our local employers know us. I've been doing this for 15 some odd years. They know us. They recognize the certificate, so it will help open some doors for you as well. On the other side, the first page you'll see is resources. Just because you're leaving us doesn't mean we're leaving you. You still have this room available on Mondays and Wednesdays from 1:30 until 4, but you need to be in uniform with your ID badge, please. And do you see the stop sign there by the door? The stop, read below. That's how I want the room to look when you leave after practice. So the mannequin needs to be in bed with a gown on. All wet washcloths need to be hung over the sink so they don't mildew, that kind of stuff. Just make sure it's nice and clean for me. if you can't come in here and practice, you might want to buy a practice kit that has everything that you need to be able to practice at home. The gate belt, the triangular graduate container, the drainage bag, the wash basin, emesis basin, toothbrush, denture, I mean, all kinds of stuff to be able to practice.
Online, this is 60 something. but
Yeah.
on the ebook, this is 47.99.
Yep, $47.99 through today. Through today. Next door. Yep, just go over there and tell anybody next door that you want to purchase the practice kit. And in fact, I will extend that till Friday. I can do that for you. Okay, so I'll extend that out till Friday. And that's a huge savings. You also have the practice test in your white book. You have a practice test online. You've got the online course. You've got all of the skills videos. I mean, we've got a ton of stuff for you to be able to practice. One of the things that you probably are going to want to do at this point, though, it's not on this resources page, but you might want to make a little note. Go take the workplace personality test if you haven't done that already. So it's on our website. Okay. All right. So mental health is a good kind of sub for rehab. So
Okay.
mental health and rehab are pretty similar.
That's
Okay.
okay.
It's on our website. Yep. And it will help you kind of narrow down the type of workplace that you're going to thrive at. Okay. So those resources, like I said, just because you're no longer in class doesn't mean that your learning has to stop. You still have a lot of opportunities to review for the state exam. And then the last page there says good luck, and we mean that. We want you guys to succeed. You did not take this class for fun, although I hope you had some. That's not what brought you here. You came here to get employed, to work as a CNA, to start your healthcare career. We want to continue to help you with that. So on that page is my name, address, phone number, and email. You can use me as a professional reference when you go to apply to facilities for jobs. Okay.
I have a question I wanted to ask before we finish. Can you talk a little bit about conflict resolution when you're done with this?
Sure, sure. I am not an expert on conflict resolution. I know that there's courses out there. But yeah, I can give you some general guidelines. Sure. So this is your graduation folder. We do wish you the best of luck wherever you end up and wherever your journey takes you. Drop by occasionally and let me know where you end up. Remember that you'll always have a discount next door at the scrub shop. You get 30% off of everything. And then we have daily sales too, on top of that 30%. So you know, once you get employed, we'll help you get ready for that. Are there any other questions about the course? Do you feel like, compared to the first day that you came in, do you feel like you've learned what you needed to learn?
Yes.
Are you happy with the course?
Yes.
Are you happy with all of the resources that we have available to you?
Yes.
Okay, if you're happy with it, would you please do me the favor of giving me a review, either on Facebook or Google or wherever you want to leave a review? I would really appreciate, we've had 3,000 over 3,000 students. I think I've only got like 60 reviews. So, so we would really appreciate, if you weren't happy with the class, please come tell me and let me see what I can do to help you become satisfied. Okay.
So we want to give you a hand.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate my time with you.
This is the first time I feel like I understand something for the value for the things,
Oh, thank you.
because I was seeing over the water, like I say in Spanish something, I say over the water.
Right.
I never see under the water. So right now I see under the water how's the problems, how I can fix, how I can.
Very
what I
good.
try to do. So Sometimes like maybe I can do so much, but I can do the best I can.
Do the best you can. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you guys enjoyed your time here. I really am. So let me answer your question, Rosina, a little bit about conflict resolution, because there will be conflict. There will. I mean, anytime you have more than one person, I mean, sometimes even one person, I have conflicts with myself all the time, right? But anytime you have more than one person, there's a potential for conflicts that will exist. So it depends on what kind of conflict we're talking about, though. Is this a conflict with a patient? Is this a conflict with a family member? Is this a conflict with a coworker? Is this a conflict with a supervisor? Right? So what kind of conflict? Because each one is actually going to be handled a little bit differently. If it's a conflict with a patient, you need to tune up your listening and try to figure out where the breakdown in communication is. And usually the best way to do that is to be open and direct. How can I better serve you? So we can establish some very clear boundaries and expectations, right? If it's a conflict with a family member, usually that's something that should be reported up your chain of command, because that's probably not something that you're going to be able to solve, right? Conflict with a patient, be direct, establish boundaries and expectations. Conflict with a family member, report it up your chain of command. Conflict with a coworker is a little bit trickier, because it really kind of depends what kind of conflict are we having. Is this a personality conflict or a workplace conflict? So you're not, as a CNA, you are not going to change somebody's work ethic. You're not. If you've got somebody who's always hiding out on break, not pulling their own weight, that type of thing, no amount of you addressing that head on is going to change it, because you are a peer, you have no authority over them, and they're going to react negatively to that. They just will. So in that situation, you need to see if you have any strategies you can employ. Maybe moving to a different section, maybe reporting it to a supervisor, maybe changing to a different shift, but you need to be aware that you will never change somebody's work ethic. You can be direct with them. I have been direct with coworkers, but you want to do it in a way that's not hostile. And you don't want to use a lot of you statements. Like, you are always late. Every time you come back from break, you're always late. And I'm tired of taking care of your call lights and your pay. That's hostile. Okay. A better way of handling that would be something more along the lines of, I feel like maybe, trying to think of how I would word this to a coworker. I feel like when you come back from break, you're usually over your time, and it's very difficult for me to take care of my work responsibilities and spend that extra time with your work responsibilities as well. So is there something that we can do to help make sure that you're coming back from break on time, so that all of our patients receive adequate care? So I would approach it something more like that, but you can be direct with them. If that doesn't get you anywhere, move up your chain of command or move to another unit or another shift. If it's a conflict with a supervisor, good luck. It really is that simple. Remember, and we just talked about this, right? Short-term training, easily replaceable. For a nurse, it's 3 years just to get them out of school. Which one are they going to replace? Yeah. And that's the reality of it. If you're having a conflict with a supervisor, they'll replace you. It's easier. It's just plain easier. So you really should try real hard to get along with your supervisors. I wish I could tell you that they're all fantastic. you have no idea how much I wish with all of my heart, I could tell you that every nurse you're going to work with is stellar, but they're not. They're not. You will have workplace conflict with your supervisors. You will. But you do need to remember that you are the nursing assistant. You are there to assist the nurse. And a lot of those workplace conflicts actually come because CNAs are not really truly aware of their role. And they create conflict, not understanding that they are the assistant to the nurse. They think the nurse is there to assist them. So we have to go into this with very clear, defined roles. And that's why I spend a lot of time on that at the very beginning of the program. So to help overcome that before it ever sets in. So does that kind of help a little bit? I find that being direct is good, but being direct in a way that's non-confrontational, that always, always circles back to the well-being of all of the patients. If you can refocus on that rather than pointing out their flaws, people always take it personally when it's a personal attack. Go figure. So try not to make it a personal attack.
At what point does it become something that, maybe it's not, oh, well, they didn't pick up after themselves kind of thing, but it's more of like, maybe they're like cursing at you
Mhm.
or being hostile with you or making your job harder on purpose in a way that like maybe unsafe.
I have left a position that I absolutely loved because of a supervisor. Yes. And I made that call. It's not always an easy decision, but my first line of defense always is, I will not be spoken to in that manner by anybody. If you would like to have a conversation about this, I am open. I am willing to have open a dialogue, but I will not be spoken to in that manner. And just very clear expectations. I don't do that to anybody else. I don't expect it to be done to me. And that very matter-of-fact tone usually will help de-escalate things. Now, if I start screaming back at them, nobody's going to win. It's that simple. So try to detach yourself, move backwards a little bit, and try to maintain that professionalism. But I will not be spoken to in that manner. It's unprofessional, but I would be happy to have a conversation if you prefer, or, if you would like. And I always open up if I'm in a conflict with somebody, I will always open with, what actions do you think that I could have done to improve upon this encounter, this situation? Because I do want to know. Guys, when there's a conflict, it is never 100% the other person, ever. So what can I do different in a future encounter? When people know that you're open to change, it does tend to de-escalate them a little bit because they expect you to get defensive. You're not getting defensive. You're asking right up front, what can I do? And then after that, I am then open to explain what I think they could do to improve, right? Because they're going to be a little softer about it because I went first. So that's usually the way I start a conversation when I have a conflict is, I'd like to have a discussion about this, and I'd like to know what I could have done different to improve the patient outcome in this situation. What are some actions that I could take to improve? And then once we get done discussing that, let's talk about you. But I'm going to do it professionally, of course. But yes, there was a situation that despite my best efforts, I could not overcome a personality conflict with a direct supervisor. So I made the decision to leave that position. And sometimes that is a decision that has to be made.
Yeah, sometimes it's kind of hard.
It is hard.
They put, one time they put me in the office for somebody say something.
Mhm.
Always somebody say something about it. And she put me in the office and she don't do it around all the people and say, I want to talk to you in the office, and I say, okay. So I hear something about it, that's true or not. And I say, no, I don't say that. I say this in this way. But sometimes they understand wrong because I mix my words sometimes and speaking Spanish and English.
Well,
So this is the problem. So I say, no, I don't talking about you. I say your name because I was talking about the hours you give me. And I say, oh, I need to ask her about my hours. Okay. I ask my boss for, I say the name for my hours. So I need to change the day for the hours. And somebody listening, no, she said your name. So it's the way she thinking as I was talking about bad, about my boss.
right.
So sometimes I'm so confused and the
Or it can be a misunderstanding. Absolutely. It can absolutely be a
the
misunderstanding.
way we need to talk. It's the way all the bad things or whatever things happen. It's always solution talking.
Yeah,
And
communication is,
explain everything, whatever the things, and I say, no, I don't talking about you. I talking about my hours, but I say your name because you make my schedule.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, no, I need this day off, but I want work this day. So usually nobody wants working on weekends.
right.
This is the problem. And I say, no, I need a day off, and one day in the weekend.
Mhm.
But usually I never take a day off in the weekend, but
Yeah.
the day I need it, and I say, oh, and that way I say so. I say, oh, okay. Oh, but next time, make sure don't say my name. And I say, well, I always speak Spanish around with all the coworkers, and they speak Spanish too.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's a little wrong.
Yeah. And it is best to communicate in a language where everybody, a common language, because you don't know when somebody is speaking a different language and your name comes up, you never know what context it's in. And it's always easy to jump to the wrong conclusions, for sure. Did that help you at all? Okay. Like I said, I'm not an expert in conflict. I want to preface that I'm not an expert in conflict resolution. That's the hardest thing. Yeah. Anything, right? It's helpful for me, and it took me a long time to kind of get to this point in my life, but it's always helpful to me to know that when you have a conflict, it's usually with something I did, not who I am. And when I keep that in mind, it helps me kind of frame my response to it. Because if you're upset at who I am, I can't change that. There's no solution. I am who I am. I'm not for everybody. That's okay. I have disliked people in line behind me at Winn-Dixie, right? Didn't know them, but I disliked them just because of, the way they were acting or something. You're not everybody's cup of tea, but if we can get to, are you upset with what I did, or are you upset with who I am? If you're upset with who I am, can't change it. If you're upset with what I did, yeah, I might be able to do something different there. Let's establish some expectations here. If you can kind of process, and it's got to be pretty quick. You got to process that really quickly, right, before you get all defensive. But if you can kind of take that quarter second to figure out, okay, is it who I am or what I did, it'll help you frame your response. And you tend to be a little bit less defensive, less conflicted, if you can make that differentiation.
And I've noticed that a lot of times, like at my current job, if I've had any kind of conflict with someone, like a quick snapback kind of thing, most of the time it has to do with a miscommunication, not even exactly what I've done or what I've said. It might be the tone or my facial expression when it's happening. I've come in with a patient, I'm out of breath, and I ask something, and they take my out of breath and my face as a tone, and then they snap back at me. I'm like, you're misunderstanding what's going on here. I literally am like, yeah, this is not it. I'm asking you a question that has nothing to do with the fact that I'm out of breath.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not upset about anything. I'm asking a question that has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, and nonverbal cues can absolutely set the tone. Yeah, absolutely. And I usually try to evaluate my own nonverbal as well, just to see, okay, is there somewhere here that I'm giving off the wrong signals? And yeah, I mean, absolutely. I have a bad habit of sighing out loud. And it's me, right? It's just the way I can't breathe, you know? So, and Jake will ask me every once in a while because it'll be quiet and I'll go, because I'm trying to breathe. And he's like, what's wrong? I can't breathe. There's nothing wrong with life. I just can't breathe. But there's that nonverbal cue, and it's interpreted as exasperation, frustration, anxiety, and all of that, where it's just simply not enough oxygen in the room at the moment. I'm having a hard time. So yeah, so our nonverbal cues can definitely set the tone for encounters as well. Yeah, so we have to, and I really wasn't aware of that for the longest time. And but with him asking over it, because I don't even realize I'm doing it. I've probably done it in here and didn't even realize it, right? But now that he's asked that multiple times, I'm a little bit more aware, not always, but I'm a little bit more aware of that and trying to be careful, because that can be portrayed or received as something negative as well. So I try to be a little more aware, but I haven't got that perfected yet. I am still a work in progress.
It's too hard when you
There is always an opportunity for improvement.
you don't say nothing, but sometimes the people, your actions, they interpret very
Yes.
the wrong way.
Yeah, those are those nonverbal cues. Absolutely. Absolutely.
You serious all the time? Yeah. But I can smile and just sometimes, but sometimes that's a part of who you are.
Right. And that's why I said, is it what I'm doing or who I am? Because yeah, that breathing thing, it's what I'm doing, but it's also kind of part of who I am. So I'm working with that. But yeah, we are all a work in progress. So the biggest thing that I always take with me, and it really sounds very trite, but I treat others the way I want to be treated. So if I want grace from others, I have to give grace to others. So I always try to give the benefit of the doubt, you know, and give people an opportunity to explain what I think, you know, something that has offended me, so that maybe I can establish whether it was a miscommunication rather than just cutting them off. And if you want grace from others, you have to give it yourself as well. So I just kind of keep that in mind. The golden rule is what I try to live by, you know, treat others the way I would want to be treated. And I find it's done pretty well for me, as long as I'm not behind the wheel. Yeah, I am still a work in progress when it comes to driving on 19. So we all have areas of improvement, I guess. All right, I'm going to go ahead and post your pictures on Facebook. The rest of the class is practice. And thank you all for this amazing class. You guys are all going to be fantastic in healthcare. So welcome to healthcare, guys. Let me know how you do when you test.
Yes, I was just thinking that. I'll like how I do today.
Very good. All right, so you two people, let me just check real quick to make sure that we don't have any questions that need to be asked. And let's see here. Okay, hello, Marie. Hello, Helen. Hello, Melissa. Hello, Erica. Erica. Bye, guys.
Good luck, guys. Bye.
Okay, so Erica, I'm going to talk to you about your question. If you've already got a background check, can you submit it? No, you do not submit anything for the background check to the Board of Nursing. You just go do your application for the test. They will go find your background check because it's in a filing cabinet that they'll have access to. So you don't send anything anywhere. So if you already have a background check done, just go ahead and apply for the test. And Erica, please make sure that you bring your book back. And when you give it to the front desk, they'll have your folder for you. And Moonstar, hello. Hi, Sophie. Passed the test last week. Awesome, Sophie. Congratulations to you. And tune in tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Please put her on the list, Sophie. Sophie, tune in tomorrow. We'll give you a shout out on our congratulations at the end of our live tomorrow. Let's see here. Hello, Azul. Hello, the Nurse Effect. And Ivan says, watching you from Canada, would you accept a home health care training from a college in Alberta as an equivalent for CNA? I'm currently working as an HCA. Okay, so the question is, can you use a home health aide to get your CNA? And the answer is no. Everybody has to take the CNA state exam. Doesn't matter where you are, what education you've got, what training you've got. You have to take the CNA exam to be a CNA, but you need to take the test in the state that you're going to be working in. So it's not one and done for America. It's every single state has to be certified. So if you're going to be working in New York, you would need to take New York's state exam, and New York requires that you go to school to be eligible to test. So in Florida, you can challenge. Every other state, you have to go to school first. So I hope that helps. And hi, Ram. Ram, well, good luck on your state exam. We've got tons of resources on our website for your CNA.com. Get the ebook, watch the videos, take the practice test. And Marie, hello. Hi, good job. Thank you. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign off. I will be live tomorrow at 3 p.m. for our live question and answer session. Hope you join us. Remember that we do the practice test every other Tuesday. Go back and watch a replay from yesterday if you'd like to. And next class starts May 1st. So we'll see you on our live classroom feed on May 1st for our next class. Until next time, guys, happy caregiving. Bye.